Hi guys, I am Roranoa. This video is about what if Luffy meets Goku Part 7. Please subscribe, like and share Roranoa TV for more fanfiction crossover videos. Smoker walked in front of the G5 soldiers and aimed his sword directly at Law. I don't know what the hell is going on here. First we come here because we traced a line that informed us that the pirates were going to be here, then all of a sudden we find you here, you block us from entering into that building. A throbbing vein appeared on Smoker's forehead. Broke our ship into 2 goddamn pieces. Smoker roared angrily as Law made a small smirk, remembering just a few moments before the Straw Hats interrupted them. He raised the Marine's ship into the air and ripped it apart, making sure they couldn't leave the island. Smoker was fuming at this point, and now, not only are you blocking our way, you deliberately helped the Straw Hats get away. Smoker gritted his teeth, but it wasn't a great idea at the time since he was smoking a few cigarettes at the moment. But he didn't care. One of the G5 soldiers cautiously walked up to Smoker. "Let's retreat and regroup, Vice Admiral," said the soldier. "This guy's powers are way too creepy." "Yeah," said another soldier. "Lifting our ship, cutting it in half, and throwing the pieces around. We can't fight him like this." Smoker gritted his teeth and turned his head slightly in order to look at the soldier. "What? Haven't got the balls to stay and fight?" Smoker growled, making the entire task force shut their mouths. Tashigi at this point stepped forward and crossed her arms while she narrowed her eyes at Law. "The 7 warlords answer to the government. Tag," she said. Law snorted hearing that statement. "By attacking us, you're breaking your contract, Trafalgar. That means you may face a strip in your title as warlord." The G5 soldiers rallied on. "Yeah. You might be stronger than us, but nobody is stronger than the world government. Just wait until they hear about this," one of the soldiers said, going for his transponder snail. "Oh, I wouldn't worry about that," Law thought as he held his sword vertically and then moved it horizontally. Scan. Just then, something flashed on the G5 soldiers' bodies, and at first, they panicked, thinking they might have been struck by a weapon of some sort. In a comedic fashion, each soldier checked themselves, seeing if they've been stabbed or shot by bullets. After seeing no harm was done to them, they were confused as to what the attack was. "Hey, what are you doing?" a soldier questioned. Suddenly, with one swift motion of his hand, something appeared and piled up behind Law. The G5 soldiers gasped to what they saw, and it is revealed to be a bunch of mini transponder snails. "Hey, our transponder snails," shouted a G5 soldier. "He stole them. Nothing you've seen on this island," Law began, "will be reported to Marine HQ or the government." Suddenly, Smoker jettisoned himself toward Law with his smoke fruit powers. The Ope fruit was one that makes a person that can modify at will, wasn't it? Smoker shouted. "Isn't that right, Trafalgar Law?" White blow. Smoker shot his fist at Law, who dodged his attack, and went after the rest of G5. "Stay out of his blade range," Smoker shouted, but it was too late. Slash. Law slashed the soldiers, cutting them up into pieces. "Yay, I've been cut in two. Huh, but I'm still alive," the soldiers said in disbelief and in shock. "Get out of Law's reach," Smoker shouted. "Get out of the circle. Anyone in his circle is a helpless patient on his operating table. In other words, operating room. Inside this space, he reigns supreme and operates at will. That's how he got his alias, the Surgeon of Death." Law smirked at this, but then he looked up and saw Tashigi charging at him with her sword. "If that's how you want to play, Trafalgar," Tashigi hissed. "Tashigi, no," Smoker shouted, extending his hand outward to stop her. "Your hockey's not strong enough, yet." But his warning went through one and out the other ear. The moment Tashigi got close, Law quickly went for the attack and slashed his sword down. In shock, Tashigi drew her sword up, trying to protect herself. Sheeing the sound of metal ringed in the ears of everyone near. Law widened his eyes in surprise. Although her sword was broken into 2, he didn't realize this woman could be that fast. She does have potential. But in the state she's in now, she'll just be dead weight, Law thought. Suddenly he felt a rush of wind forming behind him and he moved aside to see a fist nearly grazing his cheek, casuing him to move back. In half a second, Smoker reappeared next to Tashigi. "I may not be the captain, but when I tell you that you aren't strong enough to beat someone, you aren't strong enough to beat them," Smoker shouted to her. Tashigi clenched her teeth. "I know. But I can. Just sit on the sidelines," Tashigi shouted back. She knew the Vice Admiral wasn't trying to be so tough on her, but she needed to know where her limits were, and even though Law was a big jump in the power scale, she wanted to know. While Law was being distracted by Tashigi and Smoker, the G5 soldiers took aim. Quick. While he's distracted, we'll take him out. Immediately they started to fire at Law. Hearing the bullets, Law simply flicked his fingers upward, and out of nowhere, the G5 Marines found themselves getting shot at. Wah! Bullets. Why are there bullets flying at us? What happened to the ones that we shot? Those are you bullets you shot, Law said. I simply switched them with the snow around. What the hell? A soldier questioned. Is he invincible or something? Law then lifted up his sword, getting ready to swing. Ah, look out. Another soldier screamed. He's gonna slice us again. There's no way we can defend against that attack, cried another. Law was waiting for the moment. He knew as soon as he let his guard down, someone would try and take him on. It just so happened to be Tashigi. As soon as she approached him, he sliced downwards faster than she could react and sliced her clean in half. Tashigi gasped as her upper half fell in the snow while her legs remained standing. The G5 soldiers were also shocked at her sudden defeat. The captain's been cut in two. Captain Tashigi, are you alive? Say something, Captain. Tashigi seethed angrily as she stood up on her elbows. How humiliating, she hissed. To be cut in half and still breathing. Do the job right and kill me, Trafalgar Law. Humph, Law scoffed. I was wrong about, you'll never be able to reach that hidden potential then, Law spoke, leaving Tashigi in shock. Hidden potential? She thought to herself, you think spirit alone is what makes a swordsman. You listen here, Marine woman, the weak do not pick and choose how they die. Tashigi gritted her teeth in anger and frustration, trying hard not to let her tears form. Law walked forward. If you like, I can cut you up some more. He raised his sword upwards and was ready to deliver a final blow. Tashigi lifted herself up and proceeded to defend herself with her broken sword, eyes full of determination. She wouldn't quit, not ever. Law smiled at this. I will admit, you've got some guts, but. Law narrowed his eyes. Guts are the only thing you possess, Law said as he proceeded to slam his sword down. Wham! Law clashed swords with not Tashigi but with Smoker, who blocked off the attack. Smoker! Tag! She cried out. Suddenly Smoker pushed forward, making Law step back in surprise and lead him, being grabbed by the throat and slammed onto the ground. Erg! Law wheezed out as the air left his body. He looked up and saw Smoker's sword ever so quickly falling down to his head. Boom! The dust exploded around the two, covering them both. Smoker jumped back and whipped his hand to the side, causing all the dust to expel away. Everyone soon spotted Law standing back up and dusting the dirt on his clothes. I feel an unpleasant energy from that weapon of yours. Smoker turned and saw Law suddenly standing beside him, preparing to swing his sword, again. It must be tipped with sea prism stone, Law said. Am I right? Smoker brought his sword upwards to protect himself from Trafalgar's attacks. Smoker's body was being pushed back, the ground beneath him was beginning to shatter due to the force being dished out by Law. Damn you! Smoker hissed out. Trafalgar went for a heavy blow which gave Smoker a small window to leap out of the way and do a roundhouse kick to Law. Law crossed his arms over his torso, blocking the boot that slammed into him. Even though he managed to block the attack, it still hurt. Law's boots sunk into the concrete as he was pushed back by the kick. Trafalgar uncrossed his arms, steam emitting from them. This is taking too long. Law thought Smoker was taking in large gulps of air. His body was starting to feel the effects of Trafalgar's attacks. Smoker gritted his teeth and pushed on through the fatigue and numbness. I knew we shouldn't have trusted you, Shichibukai. Smoker shouted. Law smirked. You might have were right not to, raising his index finger. I don't understand, what use is this island to you? Who's really behind all of this? Smoker said as he jettisoned himself toward Law. As Smoker got closer, Law vertically slashed with his sword at Smoker, who in turn exploded into smoke and surrounded him. Law narrowed his eyes and kept his sword close to him. Suddenly to the right of him, Trafalgar noticed a boot launching towards his face and he parried it away with his sword. Immediately all around Trafalgar was fists and boots appearing to be attacking him. Law raises his blade and began sinking his sword strike to the time a fist or boot appeared. One after another he parried each strike with his blade. His speed was perfectly matched to the surprise attack. It's almost as if this surprise attack was uncoordinated on purpose. Trafalgar widened his eyes after that thought crossed his mind. He felt a gust of cold wind rubbing the back of his neck. He turned around and saw Smoker attacking him from behind. Smoker lunged his sword towards Trafalgar's abdomen, but the Shichibukai managed to move back and counter with a horizontal slash. At this point both blades clashed as they were face to face, trying to overpower the other. Smoker gritted his teeth angrily. Gear. What are you scheming on this island? The Vice Admiral roared, pushing back Trafalgar. Law held his ground, grinded his sword ever so close to Smoker's face. I'll let you answer that. Trafalgar retorted back. What are you Marines scheming? Law shouted back as he extended his index finger into the air. The ground shook underneath everyone and suddenly a tower made of solid rock erupted into the air, acting as if some sort of barrier for the Shichibukai. Smoker scoffed and went to slice the boulder in half. With one swipe, Smoker made a clean cut through boulder, leaving little to no rubble in his trail. But this was what Law was waiting for. As the top of the boulder fallen off, Smoker noticed Trafalgar on one knee with the palm of his hand to the earth. Law looked up and smirked. It seems like we'll have to change our location. Law began as he brought his fingers closer to the palm of his hand. There are some things not even you can have access to, see Smoker. Smoker lurched forward trying to grab Trafalgar, but it was already too late. MES. Everyone looking at the two fighting had saw nothing happened when Law shouted out something, but just as they thought nothing happened, Smoker fell to his knees. The Vice Admiral felt shortness of breath. What the hell? Smoker looked down and noticed a large box-shaped hole appearing where his heart should be. Damn it. That mean? Smoker thought as he looked up. Whatever Smoker thought, he was right, because the minute he looked up, in the palm of Trafalgar's hand was his heart. Smoker. Tashigi shouted, watching as he fell face first to the ground as if lifeless. I don't have to tell you anything. Law spoke before sighing and placing his sword over his shoulder. I warned him, I told him to stay out of it, but you didn't listen, didn't you? Law stared down the body that tried to attack him with no sense of sympathy or rage, just a stare with no emotions that could be perceived by anyone. At that moment, Tashigi with half her body practically hopped her way up to Smoker's side, as did the rest of G5 soldiers. Smoker, are you all right? Tashigi questioned. Say something. Smokey, cried one of the soldiers. Tashigi grabbed Smoker's shoulder and pulled upwards, trying to turn him over, but he was too heavy for her to do this by herself. Everyone help me get him on his back now. Tagashi ordered with such authority, even Law was almost taken aback by surprise. Yes, AM. Each soldier shouted before proceeding to help turn Smoker onto his back. It took a total of 7 men, but as soon as his job was done, Tagashi gasped upon seeing the square-shaped hole in Smoker's chest, where his heart used to be. That's when she remembered when one of the G5 soldiers said Trafalgar Law became a member of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, by sending 100 pirate hearts to Marine HQ. Upon seeing that hole, it drove Tashigi to angry tears. How dare you? Tashigi roared as she blindly lunged at Law with her broken sword. Oh, come now, have some decency. Law rolled his eyes. Law brought his sword in front of him and began to parry all of Tagashi's attack. I hate you. Tagashi roared as angry tears spilt down her face. She thrust her sword forward, but to Law's surprise, she was moving a lot faster than before. Interesting, her hidden power is fueled by an emotional response. It may be possible, but she may be an actual threat someday if she were to channel that potential to her will, Law thought as he moved to the side after she swung her sword. Let's not get overly emotional here. Law began as he and then drew his sword. I hate that, Law said. Shambles. BA bump. Tashigi gasped as her heart came throbbing in a cartoon-like manner, as did Smoker's. Not long after, she collapsed on the ground, as well. Ah! The G5 soldiers screamed. Captain! Damn it, not again. And Smokey's already been knocked out. Damn that Law. The G5 soldiers rushed to Tagashi's aid. The G5 branch had begun to pull out their firearms, again, and had started to aim. Shoot them. One of them shouted. He took down our captain. No, stop, shouted another. We gotta help Smokey and the captain. All hands, retreat. One of the G5 soldiers shouted. Immediately, the entire task force of Marine soldiers picked up their captain's torso and legs along with Smoker's body and hightailed it in the opposite direction. Law stared as the G5 soldiers retreated away. After he made sure they were out of sight, he sighed. Man, that took longer than expected. Law thought, annoyed. He turned around to the door he saw the Straw Hats running back into. I wonder if I can catch up to them. Law said aloud as he walked towards the door. I guess we'll have to see back with the Straw Hats. Ah, I'm in heaven. Deadly, sub-zero weather. I don't care. I don't even care about the stupid samurai or these kids, anymore. Sanji screamed for all to hear. What? Everyone turned to reveal Sanji, now realizing the pleasure of being in Nami's body. All I need is a damn camera. Sanji shouted, hearts in his eyes, tissue stuffed up his bleeding nose and drool dangling out of his mouth. I need just one picture before I turn back. What kind of picture do you plan on taking? questioned Nami, who is in Frankie's body. And stop drooling and nose bleeding all over my body. Hey, Nami, shouted Frankie, in Chopper's body. Quit buttoning up my shirt. The rest of the gang shared a quick chuckle before one of the giant children sneezed and began to shiver. Hancock ran over to check the child who slumped on the ground as everyone looked on with worry. Hancock's face filled with worry. She turned around to everyone. He's getting very cold, we need to get him somewhere warm, Hancock spoke, in Robin's body. Chopper, who is in Sanji's body while carrying the samurai's head, moved towards the child. Hey, I know it's cold, but you're just gonna have to bear it a little longer. I promise we'll get you someplace warm, alright? Chopper said, getting a nod from the giant boy. Mr. Curly Brow Man, it's really weird when you're acting nice, said a little boy. And creepy, another kid spoke. Nami began to shiver as well. Frankie's shirt could only provide so much warmth. It's too cold, Nami said, hugging herself for warmth. I can't move. Soon, the other kids started to shiver, too. I'm cold, too. Me, too. This is bad, Chopper exclaimed. If we don't do something soon, they'll get frostbite, Robin spoke, in Hancock's body. Damn, Frankie cursed. It was expected that this would happen, guess we were too reckless to just bring them along a plan, huh? Not like this island affects me with this fur coat being warm and comfy. Yeah, but we're not gonna find warm coats out here in this room. Sanji shouted. You think there might be a storage room somewhere around here? Nami asked. Maybe camera or a mirror? Sanji asked. Or both. I will tie you up if I have to. Nami shouted. Robin looked over to Goku, who she noticed was looking at her body. Hancock, Goku. Robin spoke, getting Goku to snap back into reality. Why? Goku asked as he looked back to Robin. You think you could use your ki to warm us up? Robin asked, to which Goku shook his head. It wouldn't be enough, the weather here would instantly blow away the ki barrier. I'm having a hard time concentrating to make my own barrier. Goku gritted, ashamed he couldn't help his friends out. It's alright, Goku-san, you've helped us time and time again before. It was only a matter of time. Hancock walked over and placed her hand onto Goku's shoulder, making him blush slightly. Alright, Goku said, turning his head away from Hancock, avoiding eye contact as his face was turning a tint of red. Are you okay, Goku-san? Hancock asked, worried, but was interrupted when the samurai began talking. If it's come to this, the samurai started, then I have no choice. What are you doing? Frankie questioned. Everyone, place a leaf upon your heads. The kids are freezing off out here and you want us to put a stupid piece of leaf on our heads. And there's not a single blade of grass or leaf on this island. Chopper added. Then use a stone or some such object, the samurai said. Just do it. Now. Okay. Okay. Sanji said before he and others did as they were told, scourging around their surroundings, finding any object and placed it on their heads. Alright, so now what do we do? If this turns out to be some kinda stupid trick to take our minds off the cold, I'll warm your face up with non-stop punches. Frankie shouted. Patience, please, the samurai ordered. Now, poof. In a puff of smoke, the straw hats and the children were covered in coats, gloves, scarves, and shoes. WHAAAAAAT. They all questioned. No way, Nami exclaimed. We all have coats. And gloves and shoes. Yay, cheered a giant blonde-haired girl. We're warm and toasty, now. Hooray, the rest of the children cheered. But, how is this possible? Sanji asked. Actually, the samurai said, during one of my adventures looking for my son, I once dined up a most peculiar but foul-tasting fruit. Since then, I've been able to use sorcery to disguise myself and others. I am not all that familiar with your foreign clothing, but I hope this will do. And a warning in advance, since they are magic, they will disappear if you remove them. Yay, the kids cheered. Thank you, Mr. Talking Head. You have devil fruit powers. Nami questioned. If you could do this from the beginning, why didn't you it in the first place? Frankie shouted. Because, the samurai gritted his teeth. Because, I didn't want to cover the breast band. Nami, Hancock and Robin gasped. A vein appeared on their head before they started to pummel him. You pervert. They shouted in unison. The men in the crew huddled together as the color paled from their faces, glad they weren't the one receiving the end of their female member's punishment. You never really complain about the pain or the cold, do you? Chopper asked in concern. I am a warrior, the samurai replied through a swollen lip. Usopp sighed before he stood up. Usopp decided to do a briefing of the current situation. So, let me get this from the beginning, Usopp said. We have here the samurai of Wano country, Usopp said, pointing at the bloody torso-less samurai. The distress signal we originally picked up from the transponder snail was sent to that boss, Croctor, from one of his underlings. In other words, this whole state of affairs was started because our samurai friend here was slicing up all the centaur people, Usopp said, to which the samurai nodded. That's right, I began slicing and cutting down those who stood in my way of my quest to rescue my lost son, Momonosuke, the samurai rebuked. I do remember cutting someone using a transponder snail as you call it. I know my Momonosuke must still be on this island, somewhere. The problem is what happened after the SOS, Zoro said. Tell us about it, samurai. It was him. The samurai hissed venomously. The man the others called a warlord of the sea, Trafalgar Law, I believe. What? Luffy questioned in disbelief. He's a warlord now. That's right, Luffy, Robin said. He was added within the last 2 years to replace Jimbei. That man quickly cut my body into 3 separate pieces, the samurai explained, locking my head inside that facility, leaving my torso to rot, and sending my legs to be fed by wild beasts. I was able to sense my legs and ran about in an attempt to find the rest of my body, but then my legs got stuck to something. It was the back of that dragon's head. Usopp realized. Actually, hold on. Luffy, don't you have a pair of legs with you? Goku asked, to which Luffy nodded. Yeah, why? Luffy cocked his head as he opened his pack, which revealed to be a pair of legs contorted to fit in his pack. Oh my god, why do you have legs? Nami screamed as she felt nauseated. My legs. The samurai shouted. I had a feeling, Goku grinned. Finally, the samurai cheered, now standing atop of his legs. My legs have returned. The samurai smiled while Luffy sulked in a comically depressed state. No fair. Luffy whined. I can't be Luffy Tor anymore. Nami shouted angrily with her captain. Oh wait, that's right. Luffy said, suddenly hitting his head with his palm with a sudden realization. Your legs said something about a warlord, right? His legs spoke. Nami asked. How did that happen? Good question, Zoro said. Oh, that was just my flatulence, the samurai answered, passing gas. A neat skill if I do say so myself. Be you. You were farting, Usopp questioned. That's disgusting. Ha. Luffy rolled on the floor laughing. That's hilarious. Yo ho ho ho. Brook laughed along. A man with only a head and legs. Quite a chuckle, I must say. Oh, that reminds me of a fellow I met with only a torso, earlier. Brook, that might have been this guy's torso, Zoro pointed out. Oh, you just might be right. Brook exclaimed. You saw my torso? The samurai questioned. As the group talked among each other, Robin walked around observing the place they were in more closely. The place seems to be falling apart, like there was a huge explosion or something. I don't care, Usopp said, as long as we get to ride out this snowstorm in here. Good point, Sanji said. Let's take a minute to cool our heads and think this through before we make any rash decisions, Nami said. All right, then, Sanji began, opening his coat and pushing Nami's breasts up. I'll draw inspiration from these. Wham! Nami bonked Sanji in the back of Nami's head. Ouch! Sanji cried. Seriously, Sanji? Nami questioned. I will beat you to a pulp. Stop, Nami, you'll kill Nami. Chopper cried out. In that case, Nami began, I'm fining you 200,000 berries for every grope and an extra 100,000 for peeping. But Nami, Sanji cried. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. You can't do this to me. Bite me, Nami shouted. With the Marines. Meanwhile, the G5 Marines had also evacuated to cave-like building and began speaking to Smoke, who happened to be Tashigi. Just like most of the Straw Hats, Tashigi now found herself in her commander's body. Are you sure you're feeling all right without a heart, Captain? Asked a soldier. Yes, strangely enough, Tashigi answered, buttoning up his jacket. How does he not feel cold in this? It's hard trying to talk to the captain like this, another soldier whispered. There was a CC logo on the ship hidden around the side of the laboratory, said a familiar voice. Huh? Vice Admiral Smoker, shouted another soldier. Everyone was amazed to see that Smoker is now in Tashigi's body with her shirt now unbuttoned, revealing her breasts and stomach while smoking a cigar. Captain, please button up my shirt. Tagshi blushed in embarrassment. Man, it's so weird seeing Vice Admiral Smoker blush like that. One of the soldiers whispered to another soldier. You're telling me, I think I've officially seen it all now, the soldier whispered in disbelief. Everything on this island says PH on it, Smoker said, for Punk Hazard, except for that ship. Assuming there is someone's behind Law's actions here, and that CC is an initial, there's one person that comes to mind. Dick. Smoker growled. That mad bastard, former colleague of Dr. Vegapunk, now wanted by the world government. The Authority on Weapons of Mass Murder, the scientist, Caesar Clown. Laboratory, with Law Trafalgar. Law was seen walking around the halls of Dr. Vegapunk's former laboratory, pacing around as if waiting for something. Suddenly a shadowy figure appeared in front of Trafalgar, who didn't seem all too happy to see him. It was revealed to be a man wearing a big light blue coat with the word, gas, written on both sides. His skin seems to be a pale white, his hair is long, spiky, and black with two curled horns sticking out of it. He also wears what looks like purple lipstick or makeup of some kind. And gas swirling all around him. Under his coat, a orange and yellow diagonally striped jumpsuit, which has been cut off below the knees, revealing his hairy legs. He also sported a pair of purple gloves initialed CC on them in white. Just what the hell have you done, Law? The figure questioned. I've got a bone to pick with you, Caesar. Law answered. With the Marines. As the G5 task force hid inside the icy caves to recuperate, Tashigi suddenly remembered something she read from the records, about this particular stretch of sea. If I remember correctly, sir, Tashigi began, this part of the sea has suffered multiple child abductions over the past few years. Abductions? The G5 soldiers questioned. Captain, we can't get used to you looking like that, one of them complained. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. Tashigi said as her face flushed. You'll just have to deal with until I get back in my body. What the hell is going on, Tashigi? Smoker asked. I've never heard of any child abductions. Smoker, please button up my shirt. Tashigi cried out again, embarrassed at Smoker partially revealing her chest. While I do like the new look Captain Tashigi is going with, said one of the G5 Marines, it's really way too scary, with Smoker being the one inside her. I agree, said another. I've heard of occasional accidents at sea here, said one more, but that's it. I believe many children die in the area. Yeah, I've heard that too. Agreed another. Well, I've been in and out of the communications department, Tashigi said, poking the side of Smoker's face. Oh, wait, that's right. I'm not wearing glasses. And I found out that G5 receives a large number of child abduction reports. By the time that information makes it into news articles, they're always changed to shipwrecks, acts of piracy, disappearances, and so on. Of course, I'm not discounting the possibility that the initial reports were incorrect. But, there's always a chance, however slight, that, well. Quit beating around the bush, Tashigi. Smoker barked. Is that your hunch? If so, spit it out already. You're saying, based on the number of kids we saw, that the initial reports of child abductions were the truth, am I right? And the ones responsible are here on this island. But, if that's true, then it follows that the articles making their out into the world are lies, which means that someone in G5 is covering the truth about children being taken from their homes. This made the G5 soldiers shout out in anger. You think these kidnappers have a mole in G5? Questioned one of them. There must be a mistake, shouted another. You're accusing us of kidnap. We might be a ragtag band of ruffians, but we G5 men have the full pride and honor that a Marine owns. Shut your mouths. Smoker snapped, causing the G5 Marines to yelp in fear. You morons aren't worth the cigar for me to suspect you in the first place. What? The G5 soldiers questioned in surprise. On top of that, you guys have got some weird belief about the Navy. Smoker added, there is no such thing as a perfect organization. As long as man unites, only to conspire against each other, then assumptions will let the real enemy walk free. Don't be fooled by appearances. Hearing this made the G5 men gasp in shock. Yes, Captain, they all shouted, saluting. Sigh, forget it, Smoker said, exasperated, I'm the captain. Tashigi reminded her task force. Ah, the soldiers cried. We were deceived by their appearances. But Smoker, Tashigi said, I'm not totally sure that I have it right. Don't worry about it, said Smoker. It's worth keeping in mind. Either way, Trafalgar Law has control of both my heart and my body. I won't be able to leave this place for the time being. A third of you men should take a ship and report this. But Vice Admiral, cried a soldier, our ship's been sliced and diced, remember. We can't, don't you imbeciles think for once. How they could, oh I don't know. Have a ship? Smoker asked. If you see one, go and steal it then. Oh, yeah, said another soldier. I forgot about that. But coming from you, that's so evil. But I'd be careful if I were you, Smoker advised. Before this whole thing gets blown, I intend to take my heart and body back, so I can expose whoever is behind what's happening on this island. Dr. Vegapunk's former laboratory Caesar was seen taking a call on the transponder snail while a few guards stood around waiting to hear an order from Caesar. I finally got through, said Caesar, who put the receiver of a transponder snail back on its shell. We've got permission to kill the Straw Hat Pirates, G5. And will owe the Wispkenemen. If anyone dies on the island, then that Joker will ensure that it gets chalked up to another accident in the area, as so often happens. Capture those you can get your hands on. The more experiment subjects, the better. Caesar ordered. Yes, master, said 3 guards. And if any of them try to resist, Caesar began, go ahead and poison them. Now then, where is Law? He left the room, already, said Monet, who is scribbling on a notepad while wearing glasses with spiral lenses. Fine then, said Caesar. Our enemy is worth 400 million anyways, don't try to push your luck. And the others range from billions down to a mere 50 million, said Monet. However, they've been quiet over the past 2 years with no resulting bounty increases. They could be even tougher than the number suggests. Billions. Caesar pondered. Your diligence is always appreciated, Monet. Master. Caesar looked up and saw one of Brownbird's men and a horse centaur, staggering in. Oh, dear, Caesar cried. What happened to you? Were you out in the cold without a coat? It was stolen by the Straw Hats, the horse centaur cried. And more importantly, our boss, Brownbird, got captured. Please, master, I beg you. You have to save him. Of course, Caesar said. Don't you worry about Brownbird. I will see to his release being done, I assure you. As for you, you must get into the back room, at once. Caesar smiled. You're very lucky, Caesar said. I had just finished making a new medicine to warm your body and heal your injuries. Really? The horse centaur asked, relieved. Thank you, please, for the others as well. Of course, Caesar reassured before he began to lead the centaur away. But you, first. Now then, this way, please. Back with the Straw Hats. Hey, Usopp. What's the big idea? Your stupid mask is ruining Nami's gorgeous looks. Well, at least we can tell you guys apart now. Usopp retorted. On top of each Straw Hat who switched bodies was wearing masks, so now, someone could tell them apart. This is super. Frankie exclaimed. Sigh, I don't even care, anymore. Nami thought despairingly. Thanks, Usopp. Chopper said. No problem, Usopp winked, giving a thumbs up. Rustling chains was heard in the distance, leading Goku to look towards the direction. Now, can you guys tell me about our prisoner here? The Straw Hats and the kids turned to where Goku was looking. Desperately trying to break through by thrashing on the chains was Brownbird, who had been chained up to a steel pillar. Oh yeah, Luffy grinned brightly. When you ran the other direction with the centaurs, we took their friend here and used him as a way of transportation. Luffy said. Wah, you got to ride him down to the building. Goku said, feeling a little jealous he missed out. Ha ha ha, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Luffy grinned while Goku pouted. Release me. Do you not know who you abducted? Brownbird roared. Nope, Luffy answered, straightforwardly. What? Brownbird questioned. How dare you? What's this sudden change? Earlier, you wouldn't utter a word. Zoro said. You'll all be dead, soon. Law will surely come to save me. Brownbird laughed. I always hated pirates from your generation, but Law is the only one of your generation I've changed my mind about. What do you mean, our generation? Luffy asked. How do you not know that? Brownbird questioned. 2 years ago, all who gathered at the Sabayati archipelago, the 11 rookies over 100 million, plus Blackbeard, are now known to the world at large as the worst generation. The problem is children born in the gap between 2 eras, destined to cause problems and bring devastation wherever they go. After the death of Whitebeard, they flew into the New World, devastating the seas. I can't imagine even the simplest problem that occurs in this world not having the pirates of this generation being involved. Blackbeard, Kid, Law, Drake, Bonnie, Hawkins. That bastard Basil Hawkins was the one who split my pirate crew up, as well as cost me the use of my legs. Goku stayed silent, listening to what their prisoner had to see. My men and I barely escaped alive, Brownbird continued. Humiliating it was. To run away, but it was here, Punk Hazard, that we ended up on. Do you guys even know what this place is? No, Sanji answered. It was once a beautiful island, a treasure trove of life, Brownbird answered, that was once overgrown with lush greenery, this place. Luffy questioned in disbelief. In a place like this, it seems unlikely. Hancock added. You'd never guess from the looks of it, Zoro said. This used to be a laboratory for the government scientist, Dr. Vegapunk, Brownbird revealed. In the past, he developed and tested all manner of weapons and drugs. Tested. On what? Usopp questioned. Brownbird growled, you remember Impel Down. Instead of entering that hellhole, a number of prisoners were taken here instead of to be tested in his cruel human experiments. Everyone gasped silently at this. But it was then, 4 years ago, Brownbird began, one of Vegapunk's chemical weapons tests went wrong, an explosion that destroyed 2 of the 3 labs scattered across the island. What we stand in now was one of them. Whoa, Chopper said. No wonder it's in pieces like this. Usopp added. All life on the island was eradicated due to the heat and toxicity of the explosion, Brownbird went on. The government workers abandoned the island, leaving the test subject prisoners here, escaping with their own lives and sealing off the island. The surviving prisoners holed up inside the remaining lab in order to protect themselves from the toxic gas that covered the island. Those who should survive lost much of their lower body functions to the effects of the nerve gas, leaving them with little to no hope for the future, but when 1 year passed, our merciful master arrived and purified the island's gas, and with the power of science, provided the prisoners with new legs and welcomed them as his new subordinates. Brownbird praised. Ooh, master. Frankie sobbed. Master. Chopper cried. My crew landed on this island, which was 2 years ago, Brownbird said. There were still some levels of toxin in the air, which made me vomit to breathe. I didn't think I had any hope left and was preparing for the worst, but our master suddenly arrived and blessed us with his mercy. As he said this, tears of joy began to form Brownbird's eyes. He didn't have to save us, he said, his voice breaking, but I was saved by master's kindness. If Vegapunk was the devil who stole the use of our legs, then master is a kind-hearted god that saved us. Brook sobbed, tears pouring out of his eye sockets while Robin patted him on the back a bit. Then, a few months ago, Brownbird said, another god arrived, Trafalgar Law. Law used his powers to grant us entirely new legs. Legs from living animals. We had thought that we would never walk again. Oh, how we shed tears of joy. Chopper bawled on top of Frankie's shoulder. What an amazing story. Master's an amazing person. Frankie bawled while hugging a tear-eyed Usopp. Luffy smiled. I knew Traffy was a good guy. He did save me after all. I never knew Vegapunk was such a wicked man, Nami said in disbelief. I guess those sheep-legged guys in the lab were his doing, as well, Sanji noted. And the centaurs we saw, Goku added. And that bird-looking woman I saw. Usopp added as he slammed his fist into his hand. Now I get it, but wait, what about the dragon? Ah, so you saw the dragon? Brownbird asked. That is an artificial creation of Vegapunk, it supposedly guards this island. It can adapt to any environment. I believe the celestial dragons like it so much, they even gave it a name in fact, which I had forgotten. At any rate, run away if any of you encounter it, for it is very dangerous. We ate it already, Zoro thought. Should we tell him? Yeah, no problem. We'll make sure to do that, Usopp spoke. I guess not, Zoro shrugged mentally. So, now you see who rules this island? Asked Brownbird. No one dares to come near, which means Punk Hazard is the property of our dear master. Whohoho. Rejoice. By this time, Luffy had fallen asleep after listening to Brownbird retell the straw hats of his master. The master continues his research to this very day for the betterment of humanity's future. Brownbird exclaimed. And you pirates have the honor of being some of the mere handful of test subjects that he needs for his great work. There is no escape for you. Whohoho. Goku and Hancock narrowed their eyes and looked at each other before they nodded in unison. They both had a different view on this, master, Brownbird praises very openly. Caesar's laboratory. At the laboratory, Caesar stood in front a chamber analyzing over calculations when a blood-curdling screaming of someone in agony was heard. The door to the chamber was being banged from the opposite side of Caesar. On the other side, it is revealed to be the horse centaur. However, he has been locked inside a room that is filling with an unknown gas. Master, he screamed. What kind of medicine is this? He began to cough violently. Let me out, please, master. Caesar pressed a button revealing to be an intercom inside the chamber. Just a bit longer, Caesar's voice said through an intercom. Tell me, how do you feel? Asked Caesar. I feel like vomiting, the centaur weakly mustered before going into a violent coughing spree. Nausea, coughing, Caesar scribbled in his notepad. Are you experiencing any headaches? Arg, I feel like my head is pounding. Perfect. Any hallucinations? UWAH. There's a giant snake slithering around in here. Caesar laughed. Yes, of course there's a snake in there. Caesar sarcastically spoke before he pressed down on button. A large explosion was heard from within the chamber, followed by silence. Not quite there, yet, Caesar said. Another failure? Asked Monet. Failure? Caesar questioned. My experiments never fail. Not even my greatest work, 4 years ago. But even then, those incompetent fools continue to claim the opposite. A failure. Caesar spoke, feeling insulted just even thinking it. I'm the greatest weapons expert on this planet. My weapon succeeded in killing an entire island, and you dare to call it a failure, world government. Hehehe. Oh, just you wait, I'll show you who the greatest scientist in the world really is. Caesar cackled. Back with the Marines. What? Asked a soldier. You can't be serious, Vice Admiral. I'm sure of it, Smoker explained. It was Caesar Clown who built the weapon and set it off. He was one of the top scientists the world government brought in the science division, but he was also a cruel one, and he was at it with Vegapunk almost every day. The soldiers gasped. They never really heard about the case of a weapon being set off on the island. They believed the island became a wasteland was due to a population extinction or terrible weather conditions. But sir, whatever happened after the explosion? One of the soldiers questioned. Yeah, didn't they do something for such a horrible thing? Another soldier added. Yeah, Vegapunk was held responsible for the accident due to being head of the division, but that was the extent of it. Caesar was charged and arrested for misusing a weapon of mass destruction, but with his powers, he was able to escape from the prison transport ship, and he hasn't been seen since. If Caesar really is continuing his research on this island, then we have to stop him before he unleashes something even worse. Smoker said. With the straw hats. Whoa, I'm stacked on wool. Frankie shouted. Chopper laughed. That's guard point, Frankie. I can change 6 times. Frankie tried getting up but was comically moving his hands like a propeller as he was losing balance. This is an unstable body. Frankie shouted before he face faulted onto the ground. Hey, you get used to it. Chopper grinned. Suddenly the kids, as well as Luffy, began playing with Frankie by rolling him around in the snow. Goku laughed at his friend being dragged around the snow. Whomp. A sudden cold chill ran down Goku's spine and water. Huh? Goku questioned when he reached behind his head to feel snow that was beginning to melt in his hand. Where did that snowball come from? Goku said, turning his head in the direction of THR first snowball, only to be smacked right in the face with another snowball. The snow covered his eyes, but Goku heard feminine giggle, a voice that he knew all too well and was beginning to be enamored by. Goku wiped the snow from his eyes to see a smiling Robin as she held another ball of snow in her hand. I got you, Goku-san. Hancock said. Haha. Oh, you're going to get it now, Hancock. Goku laughed as he began to pile up the soft snow and lightly threw it at her. The crew and kids cracked a smile as they watched the two enjoy a game of snow fight between each other. Goku hid behind a layer of snow he made for himself as a barrier while Hancock piled more snow as ammunition. Hancock smiled. I'll sneak up from behind and surprise him. Hancock giggled to herself. Slowly, Hancock crept behind Goku's fort wall ready to capture him by surprise. Suddenly, Hancock hopped in front of the fort throwing a snowball. But to her surprise, Goku was nowhere to be seen. Huh? Where did Goku-san go? Hancock questioned. Within a second, a grinning Goku floated down from the air and crept up behind Hancock. He hugged Hancock's waist. Boo! Goku whispered into her ear. Hancock gasped as she suddenly jerked her head to where the direction of the noise came from. The Empress saw Goku in front of her as he grinned, holding his right hand full of sprinkled snow and blew it lightly on her face. Hancock's cheeks were covered in snow and the tip of her nose had a speck of snow on top of it. Goku took his finger and wiped the snow of her nose and grinned brightly. Got you, Hancock gasped. He managed to slip past her easily. Chuckle, I shouldn't be surprised, it's my Goku after all. The Empress sighed dreamily, looking at the man she fell in love with in front of her. Hancock's cheeks had a tinted red blush. There was nothing that would change the affections she carried for Goku. No matter what, she believed they were destined for each other. Hancock wrapped her arms across Goku's shoulder and smiled at the Saiyan in front of her. The Empress slowly pulled Goku closer to her as she closed her eyes, causing Goku to turn red, but slowly did the same. Their bodies pressed together. The feelings they had for each other were too strong to back away now, but they didn't care, because both Goku and Hancock knew they had each other, their lips fluttering ever so close. What? Sanji shouted. What do you mean that samurai went outside? Both Goku and Hancock snapped out of their different fantasies as they looked into each other's eyes, both laughing and fidgeting nervously at each other with a red hue of embarrassment on their faces and a bit with annoyance that their friend ruined the moment. In some case, Goku was relieved. I don't want to try and force Hancock into doing something she doesn't want to do, that would be wrong, Goku thought, not knowing that Hancock was also feeling the same doubts he did. Hancock and Goku moved in separate directions, feeling a bit flustered. The Empress began watching her friends talk when a thought appeared in her mind. Wait, did Goku-san become affectionate with me? Has he finally accepted my love for him? Hancock blushed as she clasped her hands, overjoyed with the thought. But just as fast the thought appeared, she quickly dismissed it. No, my mind must playing tricks on me. I will not let my fantasies ruin my chances with Goku-san, even if I wish it happened a lot sooner. Hancock sighed sadly as her eyes peered at the Saiyan. I'm telling you how it happened. Brook answered. When I mentioned spotting a torso earlier, he asked me of its whereabouts, and shortly after that, he sprinted towards the location. Damn it, Sanji cursed. I should have seen it coming. What with all it being so quiet in here? Does this inconvenience you, Sanji-san? Brook asked. I'm the one who went and dragged him around when he was just an immobile head, Sanji answered. If you're going to meddle around in others' affairs, you should expect some responsibility. If something happens to him out there, it'll all be on my head. Ha! Frankie snapped his finger at Sanji for the head pun. Okay, no, that was just terrible. Sanji deadpanned. I see, Brook said, unwavered by the pun, and without his midsection, our samurai friend can't wield a sword and will have to resort to running away from enemies. Yeah, Sanji replied bitterly. Sanji pondered his options: run out in the cold for a stupid head, or suffer the guilt. Sighing in defeat, Sanji walked over to Luffy, who was standing on Frankie's shoulder. Yo Luffy, Sanji called. You mind if Brook and I head out for a bit? Yeah, alright, Luffy answered. Then allow me to show you where we'll find him, Brook said with a running start outside along with Sanji. Plus we can have a peek at those panties while we search. Brook cheered. Ooh, good idea, Sanji said. This would be the perfect time to find a camera. Just wait 1 second, Nami roared. Later on, Brook and Sanji are seen running outside. However, they are accompanied by one more Straw Hat, one Roronoa Zoro, who looked anything but pleased. Even now, the swordsman remembered Nami's words from earlier. Go with them, Zoro. Since Sanji will be too busy fighting with you, he won't attempt any perverted things on NY body. Great. So, now, because of your dumbass, Zoro growled, I'm forced to help you find a farting samurai. Zoro roared. Oh shut it, you overgrown moron. Like this is any better for me. Sanji barked. Brook groaned, a large lump having formed on his head from Nami hitting him. She only hit me once, the skeleton said. Are any of my bones broken? No, the only thing that is broken is my will to see her panties. Brook croaked. Back with the Straw Hats, Luffy and Goku began playing snowball fight with the boys while Hancock and Robin played the girls' hair, making them into beautiful. Of them were even seen, riding on Frankie's back. Chopper's body. Faster, said a little girl that was at average height. Faster. Let's go super fast, Frankie shouted as he kept running around while Chopper was busy examining the children. Soon after, Usopp, Nami, Hancock, Robin and Frankie discussed their next move. All right, then, Usopp said. What should we do for the near future? Any ideas? Well, first of all, I suggest we hurry up and get the 4 of us back to normal. Nami exclaimed. I can't stand beginning inside this weirdest body any longer. Hey, said Frankie, who is now in Chopper's brain point form and making a big toothy grin. Take it easy. I can't handle this much praise. Frankie, please don't make that face on Chopper, ever again, Robin said. The real problem is the kids, Frankie said, making a scowl. What do we do with them? Frankie, I don't want you to speak in that form, ever, Robin said. Maybe we could take them to a nearby island. If we could find a village, we could find them a place to live for the time being until the proper authorities can help them find their parents, Hancock suggested. Yeah, that's a good idea, Hancock. I saw there were a few islands not far off here on the map. Should be at least a few hundred miles, but not too long. Nami explained. Plus, I could instant transmission them if there's a spacing issue on the boat, Goku added as he floated around in the air with a little boy sitting on his shoulder pretending he was the one flying. Well, that could take care of helping out these kids, but the next step is figuring out how to swap back those who switched bodies. Usopp pondered. As they began suggesting different ideas, I've got it. Chopper exclaimed, holding up a vial filled with a murky-colored fluid. What is it? Asked a little girl with her hair in a ponytail. Are we really sick, Mr. Raccoon? Erg. Everyone looked up to see the giant, blonde-haired boy from earlier dropping to his knees, groaning in discomfort. Sind, the ponytail girl cried. What's the matter? Are you okay? My head. Sind cried. It hurts really bad. Sind, are you alright? Asked the giant black-haired girl. What the? Nami questioned. Chopper. He's in pain. Luffy shouted. Hurry and fix him. What's going on? Frankie questioned. Suddenly, the giant black-haired girl, followed by the chestnut-headed boy soon dropped to their knees, groaning in pain, as well. Oh, no, Mocha. And Doran, too. What's the matter, kids? Nami asked, concerned. What in the world is happening to these kids? Goku asked, floating near one of the kids. Look. The bigger ones are collapsing, left and right. Goku said, pointing out to the kids. The crew turned around and noticed what Goku told them. Just like he said, as if in sync, every kid who was a giant began to fall on their knees holding either their stomach or head writhing in pain. What do we do? Luffy said. Chopper, are they sick, after all? Nami asked. And no. Chopper answered as he ran towards Sind, who was. Hey, do you want something? What do you kids normally do at this time of day? Huh? Sind asked. Well, usually, we get our checkups, right about now, and after that, we get a piece of candy to make us feel better. Candy. Chopper repeated. What candy? Yeah, said one of the kids. It looks weird but it tastes good. Yeah, and when we eat the candy, Sind said, drool seeping from his mouth, it always makes me feel happy. Maybe, it might make me feel better. Hearing this, made Chopper glare angrily. Chopper stared at Brownbird with a vein appearing on his forehead. Hey, Brownbird, Chopper shouted. What do you know about this candy? These kids aren't sick. What do you mean? Asked Brownbird. I merely patrol the island. I know nothing of what happens in the lab. All I know is that they're terribly sick and my ever so merciful master takes them in from other islands and treats them with his medical powers. He is a scientist of love. Just then, one of the little girls started burping and vomiting before she started to writhe around in agony, too, just like Sind and Mocha. Ally, are you okay? Not you, too. Don't you see? Brownbird questioned. All the kids you've removed from the lab are now in agony because you've denied them their daily treatment. You really don't get it, do you? Chopper shouted. What's wrong, Chopper? Nami asked. Don't really get what? This, Chopper said, holding up the vial, is NHC-10. I found traces of it in the children's bloodstreams. It's a stimulant drug. Everyone gasped at this. Only a few select doctors in the world are allowed to handle it, by law. Chopper continued. Its original purpose is to treat illnesses, but not up to the point that it becomes addictive. They've been given steady doses it to the point that they can't be deprived of it. Then, when the withdrawal kicks in, they want the next dose. As Chopper said this, the children began writhing about in agony, clutching their heads and stomachs in pain. They're getting worse, Hancock shouted as she comforted one of the little girls in her arms. Why? Chopper asked as angry tears formed in his eyes. Why would he do this? Was it so he could keep them from escaping? What is your saving God doing to these poor, helpless little children? I will not hear your blasphemy against the master, shouted Brownbird. Your master is sick, Chopper retorted, pointing at Brownbird. Chopper. Luffy called, getting Chopper's attention. What do we do? They keep collapsing, one by one. He turned to Sind, whose hands are covering his eyes. Hey, you said you needed candy, right? Should I go back to that lab and get some for you, then? No, don't, Luffy, Chopper shouted. Luffy muttered. Don't give them even one bit of that candy. That must be how he's delivered the dose of NHC-10 to them without them even realizing it. Mr. Straw Hat, said Sind. Will you please bring us some candy? Luffy muttered. Wait. No, I can't. I'm sorry, but Chopper said I can't give you any. He's our doctor, so we have to trust him. But, why? Sind asked, before he uncovered his face, revealing a runny nose, a drooling mouth, and bloodshot eyes. Some of the kids screamed. What happened to Sind? He looks really scary. You said you'd bring me some candy. Sind yelled, suddenly becoming very angry. Chopper, Luffy asked. What do I do? You said you'd bring me some. Sind roared before he punched Luffy away, sending him crashing into the wall. Wah! Luffy cried. Luffy! The Straw Hats cried out. I need my candy. Sind roared with a temper tantrum, slamming his fists into the ground. He was breathing heavily but wouldn't stop pounding his fists. Sind turned to the crew, which happened to be Nami and Hancock. Erg. Give me my candy, shouted Sind, aiming his fist at them. Nami and Hancock dodged the attic by jumping back. The amount of force Sind dished out with his punch alone shook the room. He's so strong, Usopp shouted. The smaller children ran behind Frankie and huddled together, becoming rather fearful at their friend's sudden change. Stop it, Sind. Yeah, we've never seen you act like this before. This must be how strong giant children can get. This strong? Frankie questioned. But Sind isn't a giant, said a little girl. Huh, Nami gasped. What do you mean? None of us are, the girl exclaimed. When we came to this island, we were all normal size. Don't we have some kind of growing disease? Asked a little boy. The longer you're here, the bigger you get. No, Chopper said. There's no disease that makes normal humans grow to the size of giants. If you're big, then you're big from birth. Hey, now the other kids are getting violent. Frankie exclaimed, watching Mocha and Doran beginning to have the same bloodshot eyes. They started to destroy things around them too. Goku pointed his hands at the ground and shot a weak ki blast to make sure the rampage-filled kids wouldn't move closer to the children. He was making sure the kids were protected and kept them as far as possible from getting hurt. Erg, I don't want to hurt you. Goku gritted his teeth as he noticed the giant children trying to move closer. Chopper watched with a horrified look. No, this can only mean one thing, Chopper whispered. Their abnormal pituitary gland activity isn't a natural occurrence, and that means they're being experimented on. Should I knock them all out? Luffy asked. No, don't hurt them, Nami cried. One of the kids tried to backhand Luffy, who luckily flipped backwards and avoided the attack. Luffy landed back on the ground but stumbled to the floor. Then what do we do? Luffy shouted as two kids ganged up on him with their fists in the air. Goku's eyes widened. I got an idea. Goku shouted as he jumped into the air and a white aura flickered around his hands. This might not work, but it's worth a try. Goku shouted. Ha! Goku began as the giants' kids' bodies began to glow with the same aura. Erg! The kids' bodies began to tense, feeling a lot heavier than they were. Ha! Goku shouted, causing the white aura to intensify around the giant children. Suddenly each of kids engulfed by the aura started to fall on their knees, unable to move. Usopp rushed forward. Keep it up, Goku. I'll help too. Usopp shouted as he pulled out a pellet and his slingshot. Sleeping Star. Usopp shouted as he shot it onto the ground, causing it to explode with a white smoke emitting around the kids. Almost immediately, the giant children fell on the ground sound asleep. Goku, what did you do to them? Frankie asked as the other children ran up to their friends who were passed out. I overloaded their bodies with ki, causing them to lose mobility on their body, Goku explained. It's a new technique I've been practicing ever since I saw Luffy used his Haki ability back on Fisherman Island. So far I can only paralyze them, but I'm working on making it more effective, Goku said. The Straw Hat crew were amazed. Amazing, to think that Conqueror's Haki could be replicated through ki. Robin said. Frankie's eyes to become star-shaped. Suuper. That's awesome. Frankie flexed his arms. Yeah. I didn't know you could use ki to copy my Haki ability. Luffy cheered as Goku grinned. Good, Chopper said. I feel terrible for these poor children. They just wanted to go home, they just wanted to see their parents. We gotta find some way to help them. In that case, Luffy said, let's send them all back home. You make it sound so easy. Frankie said. There's too many problems in our way right now. Frankie's right, Luffy, Robin said. Right now, we can't be certain of anything until we know the root of this issue. You mean Brownbird's master? Luffy asked. But now, Zoro, Sanji, and Brook went outside to go find that samurai. Oh, well, I guess we'll have to go back to the facility from before then. I'll wait here, Chopper said. I can never forgive this master for what he's done. And I'd like to go and beat him up, but I'm worried about the children. I need to stay here and watch them. Even when they wake up, there's no guarantee if they'll get violent from the withdrawal again. Good point, Chopper, Nami said. In that case, I'll stay, too. No fair, Nami, Usopp barked. You're just scared. Later on, the Straw Hats had chained up the giant children, who continued sleep peacefully. I'm sorry, kids, Nami said. It seems we don't have a choice, Hancock said. If they start rampaging again, they might hurt themselves. Goku gripped his fist in anger. To do this to innocent children. That's disgusting. I'll never let him get away with this. What about the body switching thing? Frankie asked. I'm guessing the four of us need to find the Trafalgar guy together and make him change us back, huh? Agreed, Luffy said. We should ask Law how to switch back our bodies, I guess. Luffy shrugged. I guess. Nami shouted. You try being in a pervert's body. Nami shouted while Goku and Frankie restrained her from killing Luffy. Besides that, you think Law is willingly going to switch back our bodies? Hancock added. Everyone turned to Hancock. Luffy scrunched his brows. I don't know, but I have a good feeling about it. Luffy answered. With that, Luffy decided to take Goku, Hancock, Usopp, Robin, and Frankie while Nami and Chopper remained behind with the kids. Good luck everyone, Nami shouted while Chopper examined the sleeping children. Meanwhile, on the mountain path behind the lab, Zoro, Sanji, and Brook are seen lying in the snow, completely motionless. All around them, there are what look like giant footprints, heading in the same direction where Nami and Chopper are. Caesar's laboratory. Caesar was writing down some notes about the past experiments, discussing each component, elements, every factor he used throughout the test trial when Law had returned again. Caesar looked up, noticing Law standing in front of him with his hand stretched forward. It appeared Law had brought him a little gift, Smoker's Heart. Marine Base G5 Vice Admiral Smoker's Heart. Caesar said, holding Smoker's Heart in his hand. Caesar chuckled, this puts me in good spirits. I've already sent some of my soldiers towards the Marines. Shulalalalo. But this already sets the outcomes. What about the straw hat? Law asked. Apart from that man's son Goku, I'm not worried about those brats, Caesar said. They'll want to come back, soon enough. However, Monet has been urging me to be cautious with these pirates. I've sent my dynamic duo after them, though it might be overdoing it. Shulalalalo. Caesar chortled. Why, the killers of the snowy mountain. The 80 cool brothers. Outside the facility where Nami and Chopper are, two huge, shadowy figures are seen standing outside, armed with rifles. Thank you for watching. What If Luffy Meets Goku Part 7. Please subscribe, like and share Roronoa TV for more fanfiction crossover videos.